what we're going to do today is going to look at viruses. So we finished off last term looking at microbes and disease, good and bad bacteria. There it is. But this time we are looking at specifically disease and viruses. Oh dear, it's just kind of selecting now. Let's get rid of that. Let's zoom in here. All right, so there are different forms of pathogens that we've looked at. We've looked at the groupings. We have viruses, bacteria, fungi, protoxistic. But we're looking at viruses. Now, viruses are very unusual. They are not classed as alive, right? They are, I'm going to put this in massive letters, they are not classed as living creatures, okay? We did that with Mrs. Gren at the start of year. They do not respire, all right? They hijack, they use your system if you've got a viral disease to actually do things. So that they're not classed as being alive. Now, you have to know about certain diseases, and these are all the ones we're going to look at today, all caused by viruses. We're going to look at the ones in animals and ones in plants. Okay, so measles. It's caused by a virus called the measles virus. Right? And you get certain symptoms. You get fever, you get a red rash, that means tiny spots, you cough, and you've got sore eyes. It is spread by air. It is what we would call an airborne virus. Airborne virus. Right? Oopsie daisy. Airborne. Let's try again. Airborne virus. Right? So it's a lot like a cold, a common cold or flu. You cough, it's in little droplets, it flies around, and you give it to somebody else. Okay. You cannot kill viruses. They're not alive. So the only thing you can do is, if you want to prevent yourself getting it, one possible solution is to take the MMR vaccine. And one of the M stands for measles. All right. Now, I grew up in the 1970s and 80s, and HIV, right, causes a disease called AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, but we're not going to write, we're just going to call it. It causes AIDS. The HIV stands for the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Immunodeficiency. Immuno stands for immune system, and deficiency means it ain't working very well. So it actually attacks your immune system. It kills your white blood cells. Okay. The cause of AIDS is HIV virus. It weakens your immune system. So actually, if you get something like cold or flu, you just can't fight it. This is not airborne. It is transmitted by blood and bodily fluids. Now, one way that it was passed, and it was a huge issue, was by blood transfusions in the 1980s. So the prevention of it is to use safe medical practices. And it is to do things like use clean hypodermic needles. It was with things like blood transfusions because people didn't know it existed. When I talk about people, I'm not talking about common, us guys. I'm talking about medical practitioners, doctors. The NHS had no idea HIV existed. And blood transfusions were carried out and they didn't really pay attention to it, and it's passed on to many, many people. You could not, if someone had AIDS or had the HIV virus, they couldn't give it to you by touching you. Okay. Now, the other virus that you're going to look at is for plants, and that is the tobacco mosaic virus. You don't spell plants with an R. So tobacco mosaic plants, it affects tomatoes and tobacco. Tobacco, I hate it. I think it's disgusting. It's smoking, but hey, that's my own opinion. I'm permitted to have my opinion, but I love tomatoes. I love eating tomatoes. A bit of salt on tomatoes, just amazing. And TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, attacks plants. It makes them patchy. It gives them yellow leaves. and they can't grow properly, right? And it's spread by touch. So if you touch one tomato plant that's got TMV and you touch another one, you pass it on. In the same way, if you're using tools to trim them, and you cut one tomato plant with a pair of clippers and you use another one, you're passing it on. All right. So how do viruses make you ill? They sneak into your cells and then they take over. They actually hijack it. They take over the cell and say, yeah, you know what you're going to do? You're going to make lots of copies of me. So instead of your cell going around, helping you, making things that you need, it starts making lots of copies of the virus. The cell then bursts when there's lots of viruses in it. It's got a really cool Latin name. It's called lysis. Lysis means to burst or to break. All right? And I like teaching new words. Now, the easiest way to stop viruses spreading, and I was working with some A-level students, and we looked at some data from an 1850s and how certain diseases were spreading in hospitals. Believe it or not, in the 1850s, doctors were not washing their hands. So a really easy way to stop viruses spreading is to wash your hands. When you sneeze or cough, cover your mouth with a tissue or something. If you can, get vaccinated, right? Some people don't agree with it. Well, I'm perfectly fine with that. If people think I don't want to get a vaccine, it's absolutely their choice. If some people think, actually, I don't want to get that disease and I think vaccines are the best for me, your choice, go get it. If you feel really unwell, stay at home because you'll spread it around to other people. And that's the easiest way to deal with it. Okay, like always, young ones, you got 10 easy questions, 10 and I jump all the way to 10 really hard questions. All right? And so they start off with, just tell me what I've told you. So, all right, now explain. And then the difficult ones is in different contexts. All right, now I am going to share that with you. Dun, dun, dun. Copy and bottling. You should see my name in big letters as per usual up there, Mr. Iqbal's work. This is not today's lesson. And I'll put a copy of today's lesson right in there. Okay, stop recording.